Hey everyone, welcome back to MLOps. In this video, we'll be discussing about DVC, which is a tool for managing and versioning your data. So when it comes to machine learning lifecycle, data versioning is one of the aspects of machine learning lifecycle where you want to keep track of your data. As the data keeps changing, you want to ensure your models are keeping track of the data on which it was trained on. So the whole idea behind this is we have Git for managing the code, and then you have MLflow for managing the models, and DVC is for primarily used for data versioning. So what we'll do right in this video, we'll be setting up DVC locally and manage a file such that it is capable of changing. Though it is getting changed, you can be reverting back to the previous version and instantly getting used by the machine learning model. Okay, so with that, what I'll do is we'll just jump on to the tutorial aspect, which is setting up DVC in locally. Okay, so first thing first, we have to set up the virtual environment, and these are the first three steps that you have to do, which is to create a virtual environment DVC-env, and then you want to activate the environment, and you will end up getting slash this within this parenthesis you will get DVC-env, and it is switched to that environment, and then we want to install DVC inside it. Okay, so with that, what I'll do is I'll show you how maybe I have already done that. What I'll do is I'll directly go and activate it. Then activate. Okay, so I have already installed it. Let me try it again, but yeah. So this it's already satisfied, DVC is already satisfied, so you don't have to do anything here. So I'll clear this. Next step is I want to set up a repository. I will set up a GitHub repository and then clone that repository into my local machine and then turn that Git repo into DVC repo. Okay, so first thing, let's go to this specific GitHub repository. We'll create a repository here in github.com. And this will be ML-DVC testing, and I am testing DVC locally. Okay, so I am adding a readme document as well. Okay, this will create a repository in my GitHub, and then what we'll do is we'll just take this and copy this, and what I'll do here is I'll just do git clone and send it here. So this will clone the repository, and I'll switch to the cloned repository now, DVC testing. I'll clear it. Okay, so now what we have done is we created a GitHub repository locally and then switched to the GitHub repo, and we have to initialize Git repo as DVC repo. Now to ensure that this is a GitHub repo, ls-n, and you will see that .git repos folder. Okay. Now to turn this into a DVC repo, what you have to do is just type in DVC and pass in init command. This will initialize DVC inside your Git repo. So what it is saying is initialize DVC repository. You can now commit the changes to the Git. DVC has enabled anonymous aggregate usage analytics. So these are the bunch of steps that if you want to read through or whatever, right? It's up to you. Now what we'll do is, since we have turned this Git repo into DVC repo, there are a bunch of stuff that got created inside this folder. So what I'll do is ls-a. So you will see .dvc ignore. Okay, so this is a folder. So if I just do git status, you will see all the different files that got created. Okay, there are totally 3 files got created. Now what we'll do is we'll go on to the next step. So we have done DVC init, and then we have done git status, and we saw these files. Now what we can do is we go ahead and commit whatever the changes that we created right now we had. Okay, these are 3 files got created. We want to commit these files. Git commit -m DVC initialized. Okay, now I'll commit it. Now let me see here. I just committed it, I did not push it yet, so it will be here. And next step is we want to download a data set, okay, and then we want to track that data set with the help of DVC. So for that, what we'll do is we'll download this data set from here using this command. You can download any data set or you can directly push it to this particular folder as well. Okay, so for this scenario, what we'll do is we'll download it through this specific command. So this will download data, it will create a folder data and it will download a data.xml. Okay, so it is data registry and then it is downloading it. It is creating a folder data and inside which it is storing data.xml. Okay, so it is around 13.8 MB file. So let me clear this. Okay, let us see. Yeah, so we have our data here. Let me maximize this again. Okay, so we have data and we'll switch to data and see we have XML file or not. Yeah, so we have files inside this specific data folder. Now this is our DVC repository. Now what we have to do is we want to track the file which we want to version it. Okay, so what we have to do is we just have to do DVC add and go to the specific file or folder, whatever, right? We have to just do that. DVC add and data/data.xml. So this will track the specific file. Okay, now you can directly now make these changes. Okay, make these changes to your Git repo as well if you want to, and this is the step that for that. Okay, now once we have tracked the file, what we have to do is we have to track these changes that we are doing with respect to DVC. Okay, by that what I mean is in the backend what it will create, right? It will create something called as .dvc file, which is nothing but the metadata regarding the specific files that you have tried to track. Okay, let me show that. So if you see here, this is the data.xml.dvc. If I do, let me clear this first, nano, whatever it was, like DVC here, right? Yeah. So this is the metadata about that file, and this is the path, this is the hash that was used, this is the hash code, what is the size of the file, which is 13 point some MB, right? So this is what it is, the size. Now let me go back here. Now we want to track this metadata also. Okay, so what we have to do is we just have to copy this and let me do this here. So we are tracking the metadata as well. Okay, and we are also ignoring certain aspect of that specific folder /data. Next, since we are tracking it, now we want to commit it. Okay, so let me copy this command. We'll commit it. And now let me push this as well, right? Instead of just keeping it committed, let me push it also. Or we can push it as part of, okay, let me just push this one, get push. If I try to push it, then I have to also log in, but let us see. So yeah, I have it here and I'll go here and I have my token here. So don't need to copy this one because I'll be deleting this specific git token again. Okay, so you don't have to copy this, make the effort of copying and trying to access the repo. So yeah, now what happened, right? Everything got committed to my git repo. Let me show you that as well here. So this is the one repo that got created and this is the data, and we have .dvc here, which contains git ignore, and we also have config file. Okay, so this is right now we are here. We have committed our changes with respect to DVC and all those things. Now what we'll do is, since we have committed everything, right? We have created a file, we tracked it, we able to store it in git repo. Now what we'll do is consider, right? You want to manage your data some remote repository. Okay, for instance, you have data locally and you want to store it in S3 bucket. So you kind of create a remote between your local and the S3 bucket. So that can be done with the help of DVC remote. Okay, so since I don't have access to S3 bucket, what I'll do is I'll create a dummy folder inside my local machine and act that as a remote. Okay, so first let us create a temp DVC store. Instead of that, I'll create something like mkdir and /temp and DVC storage. Okay, storage. So this is done. Now we want to turn this into a remote repository. A DVC remote. I guess what is the command? DVC remote add -d, and I want to give a name for that remote repository. This is my name, and it is pointing to /temp and /dvc storage. I'm not sure if this name will be available because I already created another repository or remote repository where I have given the name. So let us see. Setting my remote as the default remote. Since I'm getting -d, it is setting it as a default remote. So everything, right, going forward, if I push anything, it will get stored to this specific storage. Okay, I'll also talk about how to set up for G drive. Now there are certain challenges with G drive because the Google has changed the way the authentication works. So we'll look into that later. So right now, what we have created is we created a temporary directory which will be acting as our remote for DVC. Now what we have to do is we can simulate the way where you pass your data from local to your remote. Okay, so for that what we have to do is first either what we can do is first I can add, I guess, right? First I have to add. Let me just push it first. So for now, if you see, right, I just created the DVC storage. I did not pass my data to this storage. So what I'll do is I'll do just DVC push. Okay, so what it will do is whatever the file that it is tracking, it will push that file to the remote. So in this case, this one. So if you want to just check, let me just open it here. So I'll go to here and then temp /dvc storage, or it is just DVC storage, and you will see I have my files. I'll go here and you will notice I have MD5. So this is the same thing which we saw earlier. So MD5, if I go, I'll see 22. Let us go. So this is the hash code. Let me go here. Okay, and if I can view here, right, somewhere. Okay, nano and data /xml.dvc. Okay, this is different. So but what I mean is, so what is happening here is we are trying to map our data, okay, which is present locally, to a remote repository, which in this case is /temp /dvc storage. Okay, we want to assign this path there. So it is in a sense, it is trying to managing this data here, okay, in the remote repository. Now to test that, what we want to do, right? So let me test this one. So here what we have done is we have pushed our data, which is data.xml, right? We pushed it to the remote repository, which is DVC storage. Now what we'll do is we'll delete our file and then pull it from the remote repository. Okay, so first what we'll do is first we'll remove the cache. And then we'll remove this file also. Okay, so here, so now we don't have anything here. Okay, we don't have, okay, let me see if it is present. Yeah, so let us see here. Okay, so if you see here, we don't have data.xml now. We have the metadata file, but we don't have data.xml. Now, so what we want to do is we want to pull it from our remote folder, which is DVC storage. So for that, what we have to do is just do DVC pull. Okay, so DVC pull will pull the data from remote, okay, and it will store it into our local, which is slash data. So if I go back to data now, okay, and if I do ls, you will see data.xml is present. So just stepping back now, okay, what we have done is, first we created a repo, okay, remote repository, which is DVC storage, which is nothing but in this case it is a local folder, okay, and we pushed our data using dvc.push. Now what we have done is, since we have pushed our data, so there is a copy present in DVC storage. So what we do next is we remove locally the data, locally we remove it, and that's why we don't see data.xml. Though we see this metadata file, we don't see the data.xml because it has been removed. Now what we do is, next we do dvc.pull. What it will do is it will pull from the DVC storage. So we are not specifying from where it has to pull, because by default it will pull from here, okay. So that's why what we are able to do is, once we do DVC pull, we can able to retrieve our original data, dvc.xml, okay. Now let us jump to next. So let us make some changes to the data, okay, and then again try to update that into remote repository if required, okay. So first copy this one, so here we are copying the data from, okay, so this won't work, I have to go back a bit, okay. So here we are copying data to temp/data.xml, so we just copied, and then from there we are trying to what, this step is what, just we are making changes to the data, in this case data.xml. So if you see here, what we are doing, we are just doubling the data, because we are just making a copy of the data, again pasting it to the same file, okay. This place cat, okay, it will open the file and it will append the data to data.xml, and it will increase the size of the file to twice the size, okay. So now we have some updated data here, and if I go, okay, we don't have to do anything, we just have to go ahead and track that file now, okay. So dvc.add then data/data.xml, so it will be getting tracked now. So let me clear this, do that command again, okay. Now since we are tracking that updated data, now what we can do is we can push and commit it. So dvc push, this will again push it to our remote repository, which is remote DVC storage, and then we are committing it. So this is how we are committing it. Okay, so next, so we have, what we have done is we have updated our data, and then we have again pushed it to our remote repository as well. Now here what we have, right here, this is something with respect to G drive, okay. To work with G drive, you want to install dvc-g drive, which I already done. And the second step, earlier we have done something for what, locally we have created DVC storage, okay. Now for G drive, what you have to do is, if you have any G drive folder, copy it, get a share link of that particular folder, and there will be a specific kind of hash code, okay. And you just have to, instead of giving that folder name, right, what we have given /temp and /dvc storage, you have to give the G drive : / that hash code, and just pass dvc remote add, and this is my name of that remote, and G drive followed by that hash code. And then you can just push dvc-r, my second name remote, that is the name of the second repo, remote repo that you have created, okay. This will push the file to your remote repo. Now this won't work if you are trying to just directly use this command, because Google has changed the way the authentication works, okay. The other way of setting it up is creating maybe there is some kind of if I remember correctly, it will be creating, if I go here, G drive somewhere, so there is some form of if I go here somewhere, more remote repository, right? G drive, if I just type G drive here, okay, you will see there is for remote repository the authorization won't work. This document needs to be updated. Okay, you have to set up something called as if I remember correctly, it is service account. Yeah, exactly. You have to set up a service account and then you will be able to do it. Okay, and if you just try to directly use this command, it won't work. Okay, because there are some other projects that you have to create in GCP console, and then this may also work. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just return to the previous version of the data set. Okay, what I mean by now, if you remember what we have done right earlier, so we doubled the data set, but we don't want to use the data set and we want to go back to the previous data set. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll try to do this git checkout. Let us see if this works. Yeah, updated one path from 670, which was the earlier commit history. Maybe this is the commit code. Now we have to do DVC checkout. Okay, so this is also done. What it has done is it has went to the previous commit, which was containing only one file, right? And currently it had twice the size of the file was present in remote. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to switch back to the previous version of the data. That's why we want to git checkout. We want to go to the previous history and then pull that data, and which is called as data.xml. Now what we can do is again we can just commit this previous data again, and then we are done. Okay, so let me see here, data FICO.ls, it's on LPR. If I do this, it is around 13 MB. Yep. So what we have done in this video right now is we have able to create a DVC setup in a local machine. We were able to create remote repo inside a local machine. We were able to push the data, pull the data, and we were able to create versions of the data, okay, by modifying the existing data by doubling the size of the data, and then we pushed it to the remote repo, and then we did check out to the previous version by using this command. Okay, and then we again committed that same the old version of the data. Okay, so this is a bunch of things that you can try to experiment with. Okay, if you have some remote repository like S3 bucket or GCP, okay, whatever, right, you can try that and test out how it works. So with that, I'll be concluding this video. Thank you for watching. And in the next video, we'll probably see how to create a dataset pipeline with DVC, or we'll look at more in depth in terms of DVC tool itself. Okay, thank you for watching. Yeah.